So, I've been thinking about making this video for a while now, and it's kind of a complicated one. I'm just a normal guy of little consequence, but things have changed for me in the last few years, and I've come to some realisations. I mean, politically standing, I was left of centre. I'm quite liberal, always make sure to vote, but I've since had a change of heart, and I've moved, probably over the line to right of centre. And there's several reasons for this. I think probably the first time I realised that things were changing in the political and social landscape was when I was watching Daily Politics, a programme here in the UK about political goings on, and it was a subject about feminism, and a woman had come on to the show to do a piece about how feminism had gone too far, how it was alienating men and women apart from each other and demonising men. And I tended to agree with the points that she had. Unfortunately for her, the other three people on the show were women, and all of them considered themselves feminists. The host of the show, whose name escapes me at the moment, she's on there quite a lot though, and she's actually quite a strong left-winger from what I can tell, vehemently disagreed, and there was two other female politicians there at the time, and it was the way the conversation went between them just really hit me. And I think that was probably my, I hate to use the term, a red pill moment, but it was when one of the politicians said during their debate about whether feminism was relevant anymore that she would not stop until they've had another woman Prime Minister. And it just blew my mind. My logic just, it couldn't accept that. It just completely rejected the notion that the sex of the person even mattered. To me, it doesn't matter whether it's a male or a female Prime Minister, simply that they do a good job and lead the country in a way that's beneficial for everyone. How can you sit there and say, I'm not going to stop until there's a female Prime Minister, I'm not going to stop until there's a female head of this, a female head of that? If they're not good enough, they're not good enough. It doesn't mean that women can't do the job, but you just wouldn't pick the lesser of two just because of their genitalia. And it came through watching other stuff that I come up with this example of a brain surgeon. Like, if you were going to be operated on by a brain surgeon, even if you asked this to a feminist, would you choose the man or the woman? And they might say the woman, but you'd always choose the best qualified person regardless of their gender, their race, their religion, their sex, their transgenderism. I mean, even if they considered themselves non-binary, I wouldn't care, as long as they were doing the best job they could to save my life. And from there, I've seen it creep slowly and steadily into different parts of society, and it worries me. And I've watched different videos on YouTube and found different figures that I've learnt stuff from, though I don't totally agree with them. I've watched things by Ben Shapiro. I've recently discovered Jordan Peterson, who I think probably has the closest beliefs and the most well-structured beliefs to what I could follow so far. There are things that I probably wouldn't totally agree with him on, but he's got the best way of it. I'm actually reading 12 Rules for Life at the moment, and it's actually helped me personally watching some of his things and actually taking responsibility for my life and bringing order to the chaos that he is against, to the ideologies, to the ideologues that seem to be ruling the world at the moment. And I think we just need to get back to the basics. There's so much politics, so much philosophy, so much bureaucracy, so many different opinions that cloud all the basic fundamentals of life that we all share. And it just blows my mind that we're being pulled apart like this at the seams in Western society. We're all human. We all have 2 eyes, 2 ears, a mouth, a nose. Whatever race, religion, creed you are, there will be disagreements. But isn't that part of a free society? Isn't that part of free speech? All this stuff about Islamophobia and feminism and rape culture. How can these people believe these things? They don't even take into context the facts. That they literally have lead skulls that do not let facts penetrate their brains. I've seen in interviews with Jordan Peterson where he will tell people facts, he will give them figures, and they'll just walk around it. They'll find ways around them. Oh, my personal experience this, my personal experience that. And my personal experiences come into play sometimes as well, but if the facts disagree with that, you have to take that into account. And I just don't want the world to fall anymore into chaos, and I think we're all going to have to stand up and show that we're not willing to put up with this from the governments trying to further police how we use our free speech, enforcing hate speech crimes, laws, policing the internet. These are troubled times, and YouTubers like Bearing give me hope and make me laugh, but I can't help but take these things a little bit more seriously. These crazy people are in positions of power, and I don't want it to turn into a war. There is a massive pushback against this, especially online, which is something I really do agree with. We need to push back and stand firm, but I don't want it to turn the other way. I don't want there to be a sudden backlash from far right wingers as well, or it to turn into a war in which we're battling against each other, throwing insults and just trying to win on points against each other, because that's not the point of it. The point of it is that we want to live in a free, well, as free as can be, society where we can speak our minds and we can take advice from other people, and even though we disagree, we can still get along and be productive and work for ourselves and for others, for the betterment of our countries and for our race. For all races. I know this is kind of a somber video, but I don't intend to be that going forwards. It's just more of a reflection of how I'm feeling recently. So many different news stories come out which just make me shake my head and want to facepalm. I mean, even it's infected Star Wars. I mean, I've watched a lot of Ethan Van Sciver and was it Geeks and Gamers and World Class Bullshitters regarding Disney's, well, more Kathleen Kennedy's handling of the Star Wars franchise, and where it's been turned into a platform for SJWs. Gone is the good storytelling and the great characters with depth and meaning, and it's turned into a political message. We see it in our movies now, in the comic books, in TV, media, government, and it's time for people to realise that this is not okay, and to take a stand. So going forward, I want to make a concerted effort with this channel to make people aware of the radical left that's creeping in everywhere, nowadays, which I think is being realised by more people. That's going to be one of the main goals of my channel, social commentary, and hopefully I'll be able to get myself up there with some of the greats, like you've got Sargon of Akkad, Bearing. Check those guys out, they're awesome. I also want to talk about other things that matter to me. It's going to be my personal channel after all. I'm a prolific gamer, mainly Final Fantasy, for those guys who know that. I want to talk about depression. It's something I've suffered with for a long time, and anything I can do to help others who are going through the same thing and need help, any advice I can give is something that I want to do. That means a lot to me. So it'll be quite a varied thing, and we'll see what happens. I'm quite busy usually with work and that, but in my spare time I really want to devote myself to this channel and the videos, and hopefully you guys will enjoy them. Anyway, that's enough of my ramblings for now. I will see you guys next time.